Hey people, how you doing? It's your boy Mo Better again. Real life Mo Better. And I know a lot of females are about to trip on this demonstration. It's about your value and your origin, as opposed to what we have been groomed to believe in today's westernized and well, African American mind states. Now, if you listen to the transgenderization of the black man and woman, you would not just but begin to understand why we think like we think as a people and may or should begin to use discernment and the wisdom to change it and make things better as a people, starting with our homes, as couples and families, rejuvenating the village that it still takes to raise our children. Again, revert back to the transgenderization of the black man and woman that I did and listen to it in full. Allow me to reiterate this part. And the plan to break us as a people, one of the plans they used was women's lib. You see, the man saw that we were breaking free. And to destroy that freedom, he understood that he needed to break the family down. Why? Because the family is the very beginning to every, not house, but home, street, village, township, community, city, state, and therefore country. You see, we as the people we were brought from were and still are strong, but weakening. And as they saw us growing and our rights were being displayed, they created situations for their women. Did you see how I said they created situations for their women? The plan was for their women to get our sisters to join their plan in the destruction of our homes, cities, and countries. You see, their women didn't need anything because they were already ruling the world. But we were stepping up again. So, hey, I want you to start a campaign for women's liberation. This helped women, but at the same time, I want you to look at what this did. Again, they didn't need it because they were already ruling the world. But they knew that if they created this situation, our sisters would fall right into play and assist them in what they were going to in pass this law and what they needed to do in order to pass this law because they couldn't do it on numbers. But by us and our sisters, wanting and everybody desiring to be a part of something, they would jump right in. See, it happened just like that. The law was passed, and their women went right back to being Susie Homemaker, and he went right back to being dear old dad. But our women kept the mentality of I can do anything you can do, and again in their heart felt that she could do it even better than her man, than her husband, not knowing that she was being guided to think just like that. Like that, in the process of dividing and conquering not just our homes, but us as a people, as we are still divided today. See, sisters, you are strong and have been since the beginning of time because you come from strong fathers who carried you even before your mother did. So you're not taught that. And so you have been trained to give us no credit for that. So you have forgotten about us being bitten by dogs, water holes, beaten, hung, and lynched in front of you to save you. So, you see, this piece is to bring a few of you sisters down to earth. You may get upset if you take it out of context, but it's really real. This is for those brainwashed gold diggers. Gotta have a six-figure man to take care of me and give me anything I want. I hate black dudes that go to the other races because he is scared or cannot handle a strong black woman. Gotta have a BMW and wear Louis. You have to have the best from this dude, right? Please, do not get the wrong idea. Everyone has the right to set standards and have nice things in life, but who are you to put such standards on a brother, a real man, when all you really have is a pretty face, nice body, and possibly okay sex? What's after that? What's after that? Mm. Again, there's nothing wrong with having nice things, and everybody has a right to set their standards. But when you start doing things, let's be realistic. Let's put things in perspective, understanding where we come from today as a man. Now, think about the demands you put on us brothers, knowing the struggles we have to deal with in our dreams. As we wake up, then go out our real doors of our homes to face the nightmares we dreamt about last night. You see it today. They're killing us, been killing us since we've been here. Now, think about that as you face the reality of where some of you would be if you went back to our origins. Now, think about that. See, the origins that substantiated that you had to come with the dowry as a bride, or you remain single, sold off to slavery, or work for prostitution. Most of you didn't even know what a dowry is, do you? See, a dowry is property or money brought by a bride to her husband on their marriage settlement, marriage portion, synonymous, archaic dot. Belinda's dowry included an ark or an acre of fertile pasture and two young mules. It's the origin. See, Middle English, denoting a widow's life interest in her husband's estate, from Anglo-Norman French dowry, from medieval Latin ditorium. You can see dowry, translated dowry to use over time for the uh, same term as dowry. In India, dowry or Hindi, the Dahej is the payment in cash or some kind of gifts given to a bridegroom's family along with the bride. Generally, they include cash, jewelry, electrical appliances, furniture, bedding, crockery, utensils, and other household items that help the newlywed set up her home. The dowry system is thought to put great financial burden on the bride's family. Sometimes because guess what? Even though a dude may like her or may like you in your origin, from where this came from, they might not have it. So guess what? She remains single, not able to give anything to the house that of a home of the bride or the groom that wanted her, and therefore nothing able to be able to come back and assist the family with. Dowry, the money, goods, or estate that a woman brings to her husband or his family in marriage, most common in cultures that are strongly patrilineal and that expect women to reside with or near their husband's family. Patriarchality. Dowries have a long history in Europe, South Asia, Africa, and other parts of the world. See, money goes to the estate that a woman brings to her husband in marriage. The dowry has a long history in Europe, South Asia, Africa, and other parts of the world. When you look at 1 Kings 10, where it talks about what the Queen Sheba brought to even talk to King Solomon. She gave the king 120 talents of gold, large quantities of spices, precious stones. Never again were so many spices brought in as those the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. Some of its basic functions are to protect the wife against ill treatment by her husband, since the dowry can be a conditional gift to help the husband discharge the responsibility of marriage. Since the dowry makes it possible for the young man to establish a household. As a matter of fact, Muammar Gaddafi, who was just murdered not too long ago, gave every new married couple $50,000 to start that family off properly. This is what part of the dowry was, to make sure that this family had a good way to start off and bring the children up right, to add to the lineage and bloodline of the family. See, this was to provide the wife with support in case also of her husband's death, and to compensate the groom's kin for their payment of bride wealth. See, in Europe, the dowry served to build the power and wealth of great families and played a role in the politics of grand alliances through marriage. See, you want to go back to that. You want to talk about some of the Roosevelts, the Vanderbilts, the Carnegies. We can keep going on. We just have to stop with them. But the thing is, some of them believe so deep in this to where they would marry like first, second, third cousins into the family who had the same mindset and thought process, to where the marriage and alliance and the finances were kept in the family. This was to keep the lineage going on in situations that we call today history. A lot of it is written in history books. See, even in the oldest available record, such as the Code of Hammurabi in ancient Babylon, the dowry is described as an already existing custom. Daughters did not normally inherit anything from their father's estate. Instead, with marriage, they got a dowry from her parents, which was intended to offer as much lifetime security to the bride as her family could offer. In Babylonia, both bride price and dowry were practiced. However, bride price almost always became part of the dowry. In case of divorce without reason, the man was required to give his wife the dowry she brought as well as the bride price the husband gave. The return of dowry could be disputed if the divorce were for a reason allowed under Babylonian law. The situation was a lot of the things that some of the sisters do today that are unconstitutional or not law abiding according to the origin of where we come from. You couldn't even go back with anything. You had to leave with absolutely nothing if you were the cause of it. Now, we're not talking about where the brothers lie and situations are created to where the sister is, uh, let me see, what word can I put? Frauded. She's defrauded, lied upon, things that we're not talking about that. We're talking about serious situations. See, a wife's dowry was administered by her husband as part of the family assets. He had no say, however, in its ultimate disposal. Unless certain situations took place, it was to bring forth the family and how it was run. Abraham actually was given a dowry when he married Sarah. And legally, the dowry had to be kept separate, for it was expected to support the wife and her children if the husband ever died. The wife was entitled to her dowry at her husband's death. If she died childless, her dowry reverted to her family, that is her father if he was alive, otherwise her brothers. This means also that the dowry had to be invested properly. Are you understanding that? When something happened to the father, if that happened to the husband, that she had to be able to leave with something. But the thing is, still, she had to come with something. If she had sons, they would share it equally. Her dowry being inheritable only by her own children, not by her husband's children, by other women. We go back. The Romans practiced dowry. Thus, the dowry was probably transferred by the bride on her behalf by anyone else. So the situation is if friends or families and things of that nature felt that she was worthy of something and they saw that this man had potential to actually create something, the family, whoever can actually donate something to the family and say, okay, I think he will invest properly, and they can invest in that whole family and make something happen. So the groom and groom's father, at their marriage, dowry was a very common institution in Roman times, and it began out of a desire to get the bride's family to contribute a share of cost involved in setting up a new household. Dowry was given for the purpose of enabling the husband to sustain the charges of the marriage state on their matrimony. All the property of the wife, which was not dowry or was not a donatio, propter nuptias, continued to be her own property and was called paraferna. The dowry could include any form of property given or promised at the time of marriage, but only what remained after deducting the debts. Not only the bride's family and any person could donate his property as dowry for the woman. If they saw that she was fit and was ready and able to become a bride. That was the thing, is this was not just simple like that. Two types of dowry were known. You had dos profectitia and dos adventitia. That dos is profectitia was given by the father or father's father of the bride. All other dos is adventitia. Roman law also allowed for a species of dowry called dos receptia, which was given by some other person than the father or father's dowry. Or the father's bride of the bride, in consideration of marriage, but on the condition that it should be restored back to the dowry giver on the death of the wife. The bride's family were expected to give a dowry when a girl married and in proportion to their means. It was customary for the bride's family and friends to pay promised dowries in installments over 3 years. However, some Romans won great praise by the delivery of the dowry in one lump sum, which means that you can marry your daughter off for portions. I mean, like on layaway, we consider it today. However, even today, the thing is, you're considered to be something if you buy a product outright, from a store. Same thing goes on today. You see, we have become so westernized and trained to do what others want us to do that we degrade one another and our own families, mates, soon to be, and as well as husbands and wives, when we guess what? Guess what? When we guess what? They are doing the exact opposite of what they are grooming us to do to one another. So you see, the next time you look at the brother like that or treat him certain kinds of ways because he doesn't have what you have, been groomed to imagine that he should have to have you, think about where you would be if we were in our original perspectives concerning our cultures. And the only way that he should actually be with you is if you and your family had to bring the ends to make sure you and the new family you want to build was based on you and what your family gave. When you think about it like that, when you start looking at this brother this kind of way, again, this is not to say that you shouldn't have the best. This is not to say that you don't have the right to have nice things. But when you think about that next time, put things in perspective and go back and begin to think about yourself and think about it. If we were in our origin and your family had to be the one to make sure that everything was going good, would you be married? Would a dude even be with you at all? Or would you still be single? I'm just saying, don't forget where you come from when you start to point fingers. If things were on the other foot, as opposed to what I spoke about in the transgenderization of the black man and woman, where would you be today?